The Cubs won 2 out of 3, but not quite the way I expected that to go. The Cubs, however, are back to 12 over 500 and 5 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers. Welcome back to Clark and Addison, Born into the Ivy. I'm your host, David Butler, and we are here to talk more about the Cubs. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave us a 5-star review and or some comments along the way on YouTube and or any audio platform. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe us on Facebook at Clark and Addison Born into the Ivy, and follow us on Twitter at Born into the Ivy or at dbutler79. What a weekend. Started out sucky. Hunter Green was absolutely dominant. Friday night, he went 7 innings, struck out 12, only walked 1. He gave up 3 hits. I will say, I don't think that the Cubs had some of their best at-bats in that game, but it could have just looked that way because he was pretty damn dominant. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They had 16 strikeouts. That doesn't happen often to this team. But Hunter Green looked like Hunter Green, frankly. It was his second start back of the season, and he was dominant. Shota pitched well overall. He was solid. He gave up 7 hits, had I think 1 walk, and he was only able to go 5 innings because he was right at 100 pitches. Trent Thornton looked really good in the 6th, and then Jake Woodford got knocked around in the 7th, gave up 3 more runs. Cubs lose 4-0. I mean, the bats just didn't do anything even in the last 2 innings. Just not their night, right? Javier Assad on Saturday, though, was cruising through his first 3 innings, then had a bit of a hiccup, gave up 2 home runs in the 4th, and then had a really nice 5th inning. That was all the Reds managed off him in the game. Cubs added a run in the 5th, and then 2 more in the 6th and 7th, as the Cubs win 5-3. Drew Pomeranz did give up a run in the 6th, but he was able to earn the win for the game. While Caleb Thielbar, Jacob Webb, and Ryan Rollison all bridged the gap to Trent Thornton, who only threw he got 1 out in the game on Saturday night, but he got a save, his 3rd of the year. And the Cubs able to shut it down and keep the Reds from getting anything else. So split to 1-1 now. Carson Kelly and Alex Bregman each hit a home run in the winning effort, which was fantastic. Sunday's game, Matthew Boyd pitched well, except in 1 inning, and that was the 3rd, where he gave up 4 runs. So Matthew Boyd has now had 2 starts in Cincinnati in his career. I believe that's total in his career. And in both those starts, he had a 4-run inning. He started against them last year. At least he's just a 2 for the Cubs. He started against them, and then that first inning last year, he gave up 4 runs, and then he gave up 4 today in the 3rd. So, capped off by a 2-run homer off of Suarez. God, I can't stand that guy. He's now got 38 home runs against the Cubs, and he's not even played a complete season against us, like total games. He has just dominated us, though, and he is great against lefties. Going into that at-bat, though, he was 1 for 13 against Matthew Boyd. So it is what it is. Like, it's going to happen. But it just kind of sucked. So the Cubs had scored 2 runs in the 1st off a pair of doubles from Bregman, where PCA scored, and then Bush had a double that scored Bregman. So got us off to the right foot. And then they added 2 more in the 4th off a up-the-middle ground ball that took a terrible hop, hit the base, and just went crazy. And so gave Alcantara 2 RBIs, which was good for him. And it just took a wicked hop. Then to cap off a 4-run 7th, Alex Bregman hit a 3-run homer as the Cubs win 8-4. This has been kind of a bullpen by committee, but Hollowell and Webb were the keys today. Boyd had his hiccup and not his best start overall, but showed a ton of guts and battled, and the offense backed him up against Andrew Abbott, whom the Cubs have struggled mightily against. And I laid that out in the last podcast when I reviewed or previewed the Reds. And that was like, this was the game that I was truly worried about. Should have been Hunter Green, right? It's going to happen. Hunter had really good numbers against us too, and I laid that out, but it was Abbott that I was most worried about. And I shouldn't have been. They did well against him today. Fantastic series win. We are now 5 back. I mentioned that at the top of the show. 5 back of the Brewers. Is it too early to anticipate anything? No, I don't think it is. But the pitching, something's got to change with that for that to happen. The starters, I think we're starting to get some of that going. We're going to talk about injuries here in a minute, and what can change with all that. But something's got to change, right? I mean, the bullpen was taxed. This is a great time for the bullpen. Maybe not a great time for Michael Busch and Alex Bregman, as those guys are finally getting going. And if those two can get going, it lessens what's going on with Nico. Hopefully Nico can get going too. Nobody's going to go 100% of the time. Not even Pete. Pete just had a 2-game mini skid, and then to bounce back, was on base 3 times, scored 2 runs today. That dude, I think, has really figured something out. I've already talked about this, and I'm going to talk about it some more because it's just been really impressive what he's done. But most of the players are going to have more prolonged gaps where they're not producing, but the other guy's got to pick them up when that's happening. Dansby's starting to cool off a little bit, maybe. But if Bregman and or Bush can get going, that would be huge. Nico needs to get going. Carson Kelly has been a steady force. Like, he's not had huge gaps, but he's not had any time where he's carried the team, kind of a la like Dansby Swanson did for a short time. These 7 teams are the only teams that I think are surefire. I'd be shocked if they're not sellers. Right now, every one of them are at least 5 games out. They're all 6.5 out, to be honest, of a wild card spot. The Rockies, Giants, Mets, Reds, Royals, Angels, and A's. And we can mark one of those teams off. I mean, short of something big, the Reds aren't going to trade us anything big, unless we overpay. There may be like a bullpen guy, but they're pretty depleted with their bullpen right now as well. So we'll see. Like, in the midweek episode, I will talk more in depth with all that, about guys who I think we can trade for, guys I think we can trade. I will have a whole lot more concrete information, as well as doing the preview for the Twins series. So, and we will have a breakdown of. I will have, and hopefully I will have Matt or Eli on here. I don't know for sure yet, but I would love to have them on for the midweek show. It is, Matt works in HVAC. It's crazy time for him. Eli has been crazy busy this summer. They both coached baseball for Matt's youngest son, Eli's little brother. It's just been a crazy time, and we all get it. But I would love for them to be able to come on for the mid-season. We'll do an NL Central breakdown too, and where we think everything is with that. So, but injuries, a lot of updates here. Ethan Roberts threw off a mound in a bullpen session on Wednesday and was expected to throw one again before the All-Star break. So maybe today, I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about that today. If all goes well, with both, maybe he will have a rehab assignment soon. Ben Brown has started to increase activity to tolerance, so as long as he can withstand it with his injury, including plyo ball work. He will start a throwing program after the All-Star break as long as he remains asymptomatic. This is all, again, via MLB.com. Hobie Milner still out with the emergency appendectomy, out at least 4 to 6 weeks, and that was at the end of June. So through July, mid-August, probably mid-August. And that sucks because Hobie was really killing it. Jameson Taillon on Saturday pitched 4 2/3 innings in a rehab outing in Iowa, allowed 0 runs, struck out 3, walked 1. And I think had 1 hit. Should be able to make his next start in the Major League Baseball season after the All-Star break. So that would be a huge addition to the team. I'm going to make the case of I think Colin Ray deserves to stay in the rotation over Javier Assad. However, I also think Colin Ray can and will be much more effective than Javier Assad coming out of the bullpen. And God knows we need somebody to help alleviate some of what's going on in the bullpen. So I'm going to make the case that I think Assad should stay in the rotation and Tyone should go in place of Colin Ray. And I know that seems like it sucks and it's almost like a punishment to him. It is in no way. Like, I trust Colin Ray to adjust wherever he's doing, pitching out of the rotation and or bullpen better. That's just, and I think that he will be more comfortable adjusting to that. I don't think Javi will be as comfortable with it. So I could be wrong though. I mean, I know he's had 2 really good key appearances, but that's been more as a long man type guy, and not so much coming in this 5th, 6th, 7th inning and tight area. You know what I mean? I think I would trust Colin more in that situation. I also would trust Colin more than David Peterson. I don't know if that's even a possibility. The nice thing about Peterson would be the dude induces so many ground balls, and then coming in a situation where we really need that ground ball. But I think that Peterson can be more effective in a rotation right now. Edward Cabrera will throw a bullpen during the All-Star break, and they will reassess after he gets done with that. Palencia has resumed a throwing program starting on June 29th. He will go to Arizona during the All-Star break and start throwing off the mound after the break. Justin Steele resumed a program on the 22nd of June. Hoyer did say he is not expected to be able to start this season. Goal is to start throwing off a mound the first week of August. So I think they're going to be extra cautious with him. I'm hoping that he can be somewhat of a weapon in September out of the pen. That's my hope. We talked about Shelby Miller some last episode. Riley Martin and Hunter Harvey both starting throwing programs as well. Martin, the hope is that he will be back sometime in August. No idea with Harvey. So, Matt Shaw tried to swing the bat some in this last homestand. Did not go well. Still had a lot of pain. So they're resting him through the All-Star break, and they will see how it goes after that. So the Chicago Cubs have used 32 pitchers so far this season. 32. We just talked about Maton is already back on the active roster, but Roberts, Brown, Milner, Tyone, Cabrera, Palencia, Steele, Martin, that's 8 guys that could possibly come back. 2 of them in the rotation. The other 6 in a bullpen. Now, we all know, and I didn't count Maton in that. We all know that a lot of things can happen. Like there could be more injuries. Knocking on wood. I'm not trying to invite that at all, but that's reality, especially of this season, right? So that's a whole lot of guys that can be added into the mix. But none of them, outside of Palencia, no, that's not true either. If Brown, but I think it's a huge if with Brown and Steele. If one of those 2, if not both of them, that would be a huge potential impact as well with the stuff that those guys both have. But I don't think it's something we can, quote unquote, rely on. I think that the Cubs need to go after a high impact, high leverage bullpen guy to pair with Palencia. And nothing's guaranteed with Daniel either, to be honest. But that seems a whole lot more likely and possible to me of the 3. I'm excited about Hobie, but I think we need one more guy to pair with one of them. You know what I mean? And make it and Maton. 4 to 5 guys that we need in high leverage is not asking for too much. Like those are the guys that we need to be able to pitch in high leverage. I don't trust that Maton is going to be one of those guys. I do believe that he's had a ton of injuries that he's dealing with, and that's the issue. Maybe Riley Martin can come back and help with that too. I don't know. But I would feel a whole lot better if we traded for one big impact, high leverage bullpen arm. And I think we need to trade for at least one big time starter. And I mean big time. Right now, Matthew Boyd and or Shota Imanaga is the ace, and I'm not comfortable with that. And I don't think that the Cubs are either. Not that, like, I love those guys, especially Boyd, and I trust him in a big game. But if he's our one, that's just not setting us up for success. You know what I mean? I would feel much better, even with the way he's pitched, with a guy like Freddie Peralta or something like that. I don't think Skubal is going to be available. I think that they're going to go down to the wire unless they just completely falter. So I think anybody who might be wanting him is wishing too much. I know that the Giants said Logan Webb is not available. I think that they could be enticed with the right package. The question is it worth giving up a huge package for a guy who's like a 1A? He's not a 1-1. He's not like that stud 1. But he is a really good pitcher who's very capable of a lot of things. And I do think that it's worth it, ultimately depending on what you got to give up. If we have to give up Hartshorn and Moises and or Pedro or Matt Shaw, like some kind of 3 of those out of 4, I don't know if that's worth it. You know what I mean? I just don't. But I would certainly be willing to give up 2 of those 4, and I really don't care which ones. Preferably not Shaw, because I think that that versatility, and given the other issues, Matt Shaw can be like a starter next year, easy, in the outfield. You know what I mean? I think Pedro probably can be, but I'm confident Matt Shaw can be. And so that's the one that I would prefer to keep of the 4. Hartshorn is probably the next one, just because the upside is so big for that guy. Doesn't guarantee anything with him, but I think the upside is worth keeping. But we may he may be the guy, because of how fast he's risen, who is enticing enough to say, okay, we'll give up Logan Webb. You know what I mean? And I'm just going by the guys that are, or the teams that are most likely to be sellers. Freddie Peralta and then Logan Webb, they're the best ones of these guys. Seth Lugo doesn't move that needle the same way. Michael Wacha does not move the needle that way. Jose Soriano does not move the needle that way. Reed Detmers doesn't. Nobody from the Rockies or the A's even comes close. The A's or the Reds have a lot of high-end talent, but they ain't trading. 1, they're not trading them. 2, this is probably number 1. They're not trading to the Cubs. They're not. I don't care what else is going on. Their starting staff and starting guys have way too much talent and are way too young to be trading away to guys or teams like the Cubs or anybody. I mean, short of being just absolutely blown away, where the Dodgers could do that, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? But the Cubs can't do that and afford to. They just can't give up that much and do that. And I don't think that the Reds would even consider it, because it's the Cubs, and they shouldn't really. So, but 132 or 32 pitchers so far this year, that's a lot. That's just crazy. I am going to go over the Cubs' top 4 picks. They were in the first 3 rounds, and then we will touch more about that in the next episode as well, and I will break down a whole lot more with it. That they had 17 picks, and 14 of the 17 so far are pitchers. And that's huge, because the Cubs had one of the worst pitching depth in the minors, bar none, prospect-wise. Going into this draft, I don't think you can say that anymore. They have really addressed it. I really like this kid who they picked with the 23rd pick in the first round, Cade Townsend, right-handed pitcher from Ole Miss. His grades are, and this is on a 20 to 80 scale for anybody who doesn't understand the scouting scales. 55 overall. He is considered high risk. And that just means that he's got a high ceiling, but he could bottom out too. Like, you know what I mean? His fastball is 55. This is via Bleacher America or Baseball America. MLB Pipeline has curveball, slider, and cutter all at 60. Baseball America has those at 55. His changeup at 50 and control at 50 as well. Their second pick was an outfielder named Caden Sorrell from Texas A&M. Again, overall 55, high risk. He has a hit tool of 40, so that's a bit low. However, he's got 55 power, speed of 55, a field of 50, and an arm of 60. And their number 75 pick, which was in the 2 compensation round, so after 2C compensation round after the second round, Miles Bailey, a first baseman / corner outfielder, also played a little bit of third base in high school, from Florida State, a hit tool of 35, but a power tool of 65, and solid fielding with 50 and 50, fielding and arm, and his speed is 30. Like I said, hit tool was 35. This next guy, I'm really up on Townsend. I love that pick. The third round pick, I'm also extremely excited about. His name is Carson Jasa. I don't know if I said that right, so I'm really sorry if I messed that up. I should have found out before I did this, and I'm a moron, and I did not. So he is a righty from Nebraska. Overall, 45 with an average risk. So he's got a bit of a lower ceiling, but a higher floor. So that's a good thing. But I think that he could be a strong bullpen guy, and this is why I think that. His fastball is 55 and his slider is 60. Curveball 50, changeup 40, and controls 40. If they can get that control up to 50 and having a fastball that might improve to 60 and a slider to 65, if he could focus on those two, this guy could be a dominant bullpen guy. And I'm not saying they shouldn't try and make him a starter. I think that that's definitely what they will try and do at first. But at the minimum, I think I could see this guy being a high-end bullpen arm that the Cubs can develop. So, and I haven't dove in too much to the rest of it. And I will do that for the next episode. And we'll get a whole lot more information and talk about any of the other upside guys. So just don't forget, anybody who doesn't know or doesn't remember, Josiah Hartshorn was a 6th round pick, and we haven't even gotten to that. And he's now by Baseball America, he's the number 1 prospect. And by MLB Pipeline, he is the Cubs' number 3 prospect. Baseball America also has him ranked 29th in the top 100. That's pretty phenomenal. And a huge jump for the young man. So all kinds of things can happen later in the draft, especially if you're drafting a guy with signability concerns. And the Cubs threw $2 million, which is a record for anybody drafted in the 6th round, at Hartshorn, and he signed. So you just never know what can happen. Players of the week, and then we will be done. Seiya Suzuki for this week. Just edged out Pete. 2 doubles, 0 triple, 2 home runs, 4 runs scored, 6 RBIs, a stolen base, 350 average, 381 on base percentage, a 750 slug, and 1131 OPS. Matthew Boyd was my starter of the week. 2 games started, 12 and a third innings, a 3.47 ERA, and a 2-0 record. And Jacob Webb, relief pitcher of the week. 4 games, 3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 100 average, 300 OPS against, and 2 saves. And also came in 2 very key spots before he was eligible to, earlier in the game, and helped the Cubs get out of some big jams. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Clark and Addison Born Into the Ivy, and or on Twitter at dbutler79 or at Born Into the Ivy. I'm David Butler. Thank you very much. Follow us on YouTube and or any audio platform. Have a great day, and let's go Cubs.
Go, Cubs, go!